We usually picture aging as something that happens to the whole person. We look for the external markers, wrinkles, graying hair, a slowing down of our physical momentum. We treat it as a passive, mechanical process, measured entirely by chronological time. Stress, on the other hand, is treated very differently. Nation began to collapse in 2004. Researchers Blackburn and Elissa Epel were studying mothers who spent their days caring for chronically ill children, a life defined by continuous vigilance, grief, and relentless strain. When the researchers looked at the blood work, they found that women enduring the highest levels of perceived stress exhibited cellular degradation equivalent to a full decade of additional aging compared to lower stress participants. How exactly does an intangible feeling of pressure cross the mind-body barrier to physically damage DNA? The answer reveals the boundary between our emotional lives and biological lives is an illusion, and the physical bridge connecting them is a microscopic structure sitting at the very edge of our chromosomes. For decades, scientists assumed that if you gave human cells the right laboratory conditions and enough nutrients, they could divide and renew themselves indefinitely. In 1961, biologist Leonard Hayflick proved that assumption wrong. He demonstrated that human cells possess a strict internal boundary. No matter the conditions, they have a hard limit on how many times they can divide before stopping completely. The mechanism enforcing this limit is located directly at the tips of our chromosomes. They are called telomeres. You can think of them like the plastic aglets at the ends of your shoelaces, protecting the DNA strands from fraying or sticking together. But cellular copying machinery has a built-in flaw, known as the end replication problem. Every single time a cell divides, it fails to copy the very ends of the chromosome. A tiny piece of that protective cap is left behind and lost. When those protective caps become critically short, the cell recognizes the exposed ends as damage and enters a state called replicative senescence. It permanently stops dividing. It becomes a zombie-like entity that lingers in the tissue, actively secreting harmful inflammatory compounds. Cellular aging is an active programmed shutdown protocol that triggers the moment our chromosomal shielding runs out. This understanding shifted dramatically when Blackburn and her colleagues discovered a way to rebuild those lost chromosomal caps. While studying a single-celled organism called tetrahymena, they identified a specific enzyme, telomerase. Telomerase can perfectly restore the lost DNA sequence at the end of the chromosome, proving that cellular wear is not a strictly irreversible process. Which leads to a fairly obvious question. If the human body contains an enzyme capable of rebuilding telomeres, why don't we simply use it to grant ourselves infinite youth? Because a cell capable of unlimited replication, one that can effortlessly bypass all of its internal stop signs, is the literal definition of cancer. The human body makes a deliberate evolutionary trade-off. It intentionally suppresses telomerase in most of our adult cells. We accept long-term tissue degeneration as the price of securing short-term protection against fatal tumors. Biology survives through regulation. It is a constant, delicate negotiation between rapid cellular collapse on one extreme and unrestricted malignant excess on the other. Returning to the caregivers in Blackburn's 2004 study, the biology aligns perfectly. The rapid loss of their cellular protective caps was a direct physiological result of their prolonged emotional strain. It is important to note that the body is highly capable of handling stress. Short-term challenge stressors, like a difficult workout, intense learning, or focused exertion, actually trigger adaptations that strengthen our biological resilience. The destructive mechanism is threat stress. This is the chronic, inescapable pressure caused by systemic poverty, continuous emotional vigilance, or profound helplessness, where the body faces demands with no opportunity for recovery. When forced into a prolonged survival mode, the body panics. It actively redirects available energy away from long-term maintenance, like telomere repair, and burns those resources just to endure the immediate, ongoing threat. Social inequality, sustained hardship, and severe trauma are biologically embedded experiences. Over time, they physically dismantle the body's microscopic repair infrastructure. But telomeres are not a fatalistic death clock. Viewing them as a biological countdown timer that we have to obsessively optimize simply creates another form of chronic stress. Grief, anger, and exhaustion are not biological failures. They are not signs of irreversible damage. They are necessary experiences that a healthy, functioning body was built to absorb and process. Instead of a countdown, it is more accurate to view our telomeres as a dynamic ledger. They indicate how effectively our bodies have negotiated damage and managed restoration across an entire lifetime. Ultimately, aging is the physical, cellular record of exactly what all those long years required of us to survive.
Thank you for watching. If something in this resonated with you, then you're already closer than you think. If you're ready to go deeper, there's a link below to my book, The Survival Self: How Childhood Adaptation Becomes Adult Identity, and How to Finally Live Beyond It. This isn't theory, it's a framework you can actually use. Tap the link below and step into it.